Hey guys, I think it's time to finish off the Sparton Junior, so I got it back up on my workbench. If you recall in the last video, I had tacked in some temporary capacitors just to fire this up. Since then, I took out the original capacitor block. I cleaned out the old dead capacitors from the inside. I put 4 new ones inside, and then filled the box up with this industrial grade wax. And then put the plate back on and bent over the metal tab, so I'm getting ready to reinstall this. And I also wanted to deal with that scratchy volume control, so I took it, I unsoldered it, removed it, and popped the back off. And I thought this was really trippy inside, so I wanted to record a video on it. Normally a potentiometer, there's a carbon film deposited on it, and then there's just a single little brass piece that just wipes back and forth on it. Well, on this, there's actually 2 rings of carbon, and there are 2 brass cylinders with spring tension on them that rotate around the rim there, which I just think is... It's very cool, but, I mean, wow. It's a very, very nicely engineered, machined volume control. So it was pretty scratchy before, so what I'm going to do is spray a little bit in there. This deoxit in there, being very careful not to damage any of that delicate mechanism. Remount it, hopefully it'll be a lot better now. Another issue I had was the string slips on the tuning. See right now I'm rotating the control and it's not even moving. So I heard there was a trick where you can take beeswax and rub it on the cord and it'll make it stickier, so I'm going to try that out. And one last thing to do is to also remove these temporary capacitors I tacked in here, and I want to put them inside this can. I've tried to deal with this type of capacitor on other radio, and it's nearly impossible to get these out. What it is this is an aluminum can, and the steel chassis here has these tabs. Well, when they mount these, they shove the aluminum in there, which is a lot softer, and these metal tabs really gouge into the aluminum, and it's meant to go in one way only. So if you try to pull this out, it's not going to come out. Or if you pull it hard enough, it's just going to rip into this aluminum. I suppose I could try bending back these steel tabs a bit, but they're pretty heavy gauge. So I think what I'm going to try doing is using a mini hack and actually cut this can open so I can get these capacitors inside. And I just noticed for the first time there's actually kind of a cool looking label on this capacitor, so I might try to rotate this. I notice there's scratches here too, which are not from me trying to do anything with this, but it looks like somebody may have rotated this, so I think I will take some attempt, maybe pry these out a little bit so I can rotate this, because that label would be a lot cooler if I could rotate it around so it would be readable. Looks like it's got the capacity and the voltages and patent numbers and all kinds of interesting things on it. So. And then I'm going to replace some of this wiring. I ordered up a supply of some nice vintagey cloth covered wire, but it's a variety pack, so I have like a dozen different colors, because some of this wiring is kind of brittle and frayed. I also got a nice cool cloth covered power cord and a vintage power plug I'm going to wire in. And that just leaves me with still the power switch situation. I'm going to post online to one of the antique radio forums and see what they think. One thing I did determine though is that this power switch does fit perfectly into this mounting ring here. There's actually a slot cut in the side of this power switch, which corresponds to the key on this ring. So, a little hard for me to do while I'm holding the camera, but so this will slide on, and I can bolt it down. But that little actuator thingy that goes on the end of the shaft, it just doesn't engage that switch in any in any meaningful way that I can figure out. I looked online and I found one sort of blurry picture of somebody else's. It does certainly have the power switch mounted to it, but it's not a good enough picture for me to see how this is supposed to actually attach to that switch. Hopefully somebody out there has a better idea. And yeah, that should be about it. So I'll clean this stuff up, put this back in, and then pick up from there.